everyone. Welcome to Inner Peace, Better Health. I'm your host Avik, and today we have an extraordinary guest, Queen Michelle. So, welcome to the show, Queen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Lovely, lovely, and I'll definitely, dear listeners, I'll definitely introduce her with all of you, and I'd love to call her Queen. She is. Yeah. So, dear listeners, Queen is an author, blogger, and creator with a fascinating journey that spans across continents and cultures. So, Queen has lived in Mexico, traveled to Africa, and created a mindfulness curriculum for the students. So, today we will explore the intriguing concept of the new earth and how we can live it now. Wow, that's a great topic. So, let's dive in right away. Welcome to the show.
Well, let's thank you, and let's dive in. And before we do that, I just want to say this is as it relates to the continent of Africa. I discovered that through a DNA test,
Mhm.
African ancestry DNA test, that I was because that particular DNA test will tell you not only what
Mm,
country your original bloodline was from,
mm,
but also tell you your tribe.
mm,
And so I discovered that I am Fula. On my maternal side, I am Fula from the country of Guinea-Bissau, West Africa. So I took a trip there and 2 years ago. And there are certain countries on the continent of Africa that if you can prove through DNA testing that your lineage is connected to that country, then you could apply for citizenship. And Guinea-Bissau, West Africa is one of those countries. So I applied for citizenship when I visited the country, and yesterday I just found out, that was 2 years ago, that, my citizenship has been granted by the government of Guinea-Bissau, West Africa. So that was some absolutely fascinating news that I received yesterday, and I just wanted to just say that I love sharing that piece of information. Um before we move into New Earth. And here's the thing about New Earth. Um, and before we get off into that, I need to kind of let you know, how did I find myself in the community, in that community of thought of New Earth? And I found myself in that community when I retired from teaching. I taught elementary and middle school for 27 years. And when I retired, I moved to Mexico,
oh,
and after retiring, and in Mexico, while living there, is where I experienced a spiritual awakening. And from there, I birthed a brand called Considerations of the Soul. And under that brand, I started doing all kinds of writings, as it relates to, and basically was almost my experience, or more so the downloads that I was receiving. Um, and so I wanted to give the background on exactly where I got all of this information as it relates, because it is a lot of information that I do hold as it relates to living New Earth now. I am a light worker, a way shower, a New Earth representative, and a frequency code holder. So, and these are this is what I know. So I
mm,
stand in this authority, and let's talk about New Earth. First and foremost, New Earth is not a place. But rather a state of consciousness. And I'm going to say that again. New Earth is not a place, but rather a state of consciousness. Now, I wrote a book called Traveling Home Together. Now, this book will resonate with those who are awakening, or who are newly awakened, or awakening souls, and it assists them in navigating the shift in consciousness that they're experiencing. That's
mm,
who this book would resonate with. See, you kind of really need to be on that path of awakening because that in that uncomfortable spot with those questions, needing help, how to navigate, because your consciousness is shifting. Now, um, the book helps, it takes some, it's only 8 chapters, and it helps, it gently leads the reader deeper within. All of my work turns the reader or the person inward because even the Bible says, and and my foundation was Christianity, but the Bible says that the kingdom of God is within, and they preach that in a sense. However, organized religion
Yeah.
does not advocate that. Even though that's in the Bible that the kingdom of God is within, they don't lead you inward. Uh Organized religions organize that's, I mean, there's the key word right there, is organized to have you look without without, you know, and in that respect, you would never be worthy. You would never be good enough. You could never praise enough. You could never tithe enough. You're just hoping that, you know, uh what you are doing, and when your prayers are not answers because obviously you're not worthy enough. You're not doing something right. You do more. So um my book turns them inward to shine the light, the brightest light on the egoic self, while at the same time I introduce them to their soul self. And see, that's what I call, people call it, your higher selves, your inner voice, spirit, my coined term for that inward dimension, that inward space, that inward kingdom is soul self, you know, and so it guides them inward and it shines a light on that egoic self. It helps them to separate what's actually introduces them to, you know, their egoic self because again, those who are awakening, this book will resonate with. They're awakening, they're newly awakened, and they need uh exercises and practices. See, I even have a workbook. Because this is like a traveling home together is a new earth guidebook, if you will. And with that, because it's so meaty, there's also a workbook for those wanting to take that and needing to take that deeper dive into new earth practices and exercises. See, because once there, you know, you need those tools to assist you in maintaining the bandwidth for residents in New Earth. There's a bandwidth for that state of consciousness. There's a frequency for that state of consciousness. New Earth is now. You can live it now, tapping in, tuning in, and turning on to the frequency of that state of consciousness. And once there, that you want to maintain it. So how do you maintain that frequency? Well, there are practices and exercises that just become uh, your way of being, so that you live, move, and have your beingness in New Earth.
Wow, that's amazing.
it's, a, it's a mouth. I know I said a mouthful, but
No, great.
that's definitely the gist of it. Topics and exercises like the old conditioning and programming versus the new earth narrative. You know,
Yeah.
there's practices in being present. Remember we talked about that now. Um, They're only if you and think about it this way as it relates to being present. And this is just a quick thing. If you keep this in your mind, it'll help you. You know that if you were to ask an animal, if you were to ask a dog or an animal what time it is, they would say now, because what other time is there? It's now. So again, those who are awakening and those who are newly awakened, you take that something like that, and you chew on it. I'm a firm believer in chewing the grass and spitting the sticks. Those things that resonate with you. You chew, like a cow grazing. You chew the grass. That was a term my grandma used to use. Chew the grass and spit the sticks. Um, there's introspective questions. I mean, in order to take those deep dives, in order to do the work, you have to have those hard questions asked. You have to, because your whole paradigm is shifting. And when your paradigm shifts, your beliefs, all those beliefs you held, and no fault of your own, because that's conditioning and programming from the time you step, into the matrix, as I call it, into the system, and then exercises to recognize when it's your ego that's in the front seat or your soul self. See, your ego has a general purpose, but it's not the general. Okay, it has a general purpose. It's that fight and flight and defense mechanism. Ego has a purpose, but it's not the general. And with ego in the front seat, then you're still maintaining a very heavy and dense frequency.
Correct.
With the ego driving. I mean, you're in the front seat, but the ego is driving. You know, he running things, or it's running things, the ego. Now, you can, as your paradigm shifts, as you're doing these exercises and practices, and I mean, and it's a change, it's a paradigm change. It's a shift in consciousness. You're gonna eat different, think different, walk, talk. I mean, everything about it. It's different. It's another state of consciousness right here in this physical time space reality in which we uh live, move, and have our being. But we're doing it in a state of consciousness that is new earth. And that's a beautiful,
Mm,
beautiful place to be. Um uh there's an exercise too that speaks about a self-care calendar. That's really important, and that actually is that self-care calendar is in my book, The Road to Well-Being. Now, that's that there's 6 aspects uh, that make up the totality of our well-being. And that's spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, social, and financial. Now, if you take those 6 aspects and you say you just how you just I don't know, in school, how you used to get a report card? You got this in math and that in science and that, so you were graded, right? If one was to write those, mm, subjects down, if you those aspects down, and then grade them, because there's healthy and unhealthy, like, say, for instance, your spiritual aspect, there's healthy and unhealthy characteristics, to kind of let you know what aspect is, I mean, where you are as far as grading. Like, take, for instance, a healthy spiritual aspect has a deep, it feels a deep conscious connection to all that is. Now, an unhealthy characteristic of that spiritual aspect is an overthinker. You feel me? An overthinker. That's that ego, you know, driving in the front seat. A overthinker, is stuck in that egoic self, and the ego is driving. The emotional aspect, something that's healthy, characteristic about an emotional aspect is that They are some of the most honest people you'll ever meet.
Mm.
Okay. Now, unhealthy characteristic of the emotional aspect is low self-esteem. Once again, ego. Okay. Um, uh, a healthy characteristic of the mental aspect is that they are open-minded, very open-minded and respectful of the contrast. They respect the contrast that is present every day. There's a respect for that. Now, a unhealthy uh, uh, characteristic of the mental aspect would be that they're easily distracted, easily distracted. Mm.
Mm.
Now, the physical, the good, healthy characteristic of the physical would be that this person is mindful of their gateways.
Right.
They're mindful of their gateways, meaning what goes in their eyes, their mouth, their body, their ears. They
Yeah.
they 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 are they are mindful of all gateways. You know, it's the physical. Now, an unhealthy aspect, an unhealthy characteristic of the physical aspect is they're out of shape. They're physically out of shape. You know, in other words, the opposite of watching the gateways, anything goes in, any and everything goes in. They're out of shape. A positive, healthy characteristic of the social aspect is that
Mm.
that person is involved and connected. They're
Right.
involved and connected. Now, an unhealthy uh, characteristic of the social aspect is that
Mm.
they're materialistic, very materialistic. Um, and then finally, that's a financial aspect.
Mm.
And unhealthy would be that, a healthy characteristic of the financial aspect would be they're living within their means. They're
Mm.
living within their monetary means. An unhealthy aspect is what we call, and that's very present, at least here in the United States, is the working poor.
Right.
The working poor, you know, working every
Mm.
day, 2, 3 jobs, you know, but poor, you know, financially poor.
Mm.
They're really, they're so caught up in the matrix. So let's look at just the list of, if I go down and just talk about the list of healthy as it relates to the totality of those 6 aspects, feel a deep and feel a deep conscious connection to all that is. Some of the most honest people you will meet,
Right.
open minded and respectful of contrast, mindful of their gateways, involved and connected, living within their means. And then you go over to that unhealthy of those aspects,
Mm.
overthinkers, low self esteem, easily distracted, out of shape, materialistic, the working poor.
Yeah.
Now, I have in my book, The Road to Well-Being. It's just a 18-page ebook. Actually, you can only get that as an ebook. Um, I talk about an exercise that I do with a calendar. This is the self-care calendar to help people, to help one start. mm, Bringing those aspects into their awareness, and kind of working on them daily. They report card, if you look at all those aspects,
Mm.
maybe you got a lot of, low grades starting
Mm.
off. But then once you move into this exercise, you do this I did it monthly. Uh, you do this exercise throughout the month, you become more in tune to those
Mm.
aspects and giving yourself better days of residence
Right.
of strengthening that bandwidth, and that frequency when those aspects of the totality of your well-being are aligned. and you got good grades in that respect. So yeah, just really doing the work out here as it relates to mindfulness, living new earth now. Um, I'm excited about uh, my curriculum. This curriculum is based on a book I wrote. The book was first called 52 Insights for Living New Earth Now. And I wrote that book, and it's basically 52 quotes that came from my works, either my books or my blogs or even just straight meditation, my original quotes. Um, and with that comes a reflection page and then direction into toward my YouTube channel, videos, or into my blog for a deeper dive into that quote. We just don't leave it lay there. And so what I've done is taken and made 52 lessons for each one of those quotes uh, as they take a deeper dive. And for seventh, uh, eighth, and ninth graders, uh, I'm looking at 12, 13, and 14-year-olds. And I'm targeting Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha was born between 2010 and 2024. The oldest of that generation turned 13 last year. They are the first generation to be born fully in the 21st century. That means that that tablet, that phone, that screen went in front of their eyes basically during infancy. At 1 and 2, now they're at a screen and they're swiping and touching so all of their, learnings from the very beginning, has been externally, and we haven't balanced that with anything within the school system to help them navigate their world that they're going. They are in platforms and in spaces free from parental and influence. They are on platforms and in spaces that their parents don't even understand. And we've kind of dropped the ball in helping them to uh, have the emotional intelligence that's needed to navigate the realms that they're in, their world. They're a different breed. My grandson is, well, he'll be 7 next month. And I'm telling you, when he gets to be 12, 13. For I hope this curriculum has swept the country and he can take part in this. Or that someone can come behind me and break down my work, geared toward adolescence and break it down further for the little ones. We can start with mindfulness as early as preschool. When I was growing up anyway, they had classes in school like home economics and mechanics and shop and these are different and typing, the different classes that fit what what we were going to go out in the world and experience, right? Well, they're out there in the world experiencing these things, and we haven't given them the tools to navigate. We gave them, before. It's nothing in the schools. The hell, it's go ahead and have the science and social studies and all of that important stuff. But how about a class on mindfulness? Why not? So that's what I'm pushing for.
Got it.
Hello?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're
Got it.
so quiet. I
I was,
didn't
I was,
hear
I was just saying. Yeah.
you.
Lovely, lovely. Great. So, also, the thing is, I have to say, this is really awesome. And I totally, now I can feel that it is so, so important. And with this, I want to ask, like, what's your vision for the future of the new earth?
Ah, well, see, here's the thing. Once we meet our soul self, once we meet our soul self and really find out who we really are, because your soul self will teach any and every question ever wanted to know about anything. It's on the inside. It's already in there. And your soul self will explain. Now, it's not gonna pour everything out at once, but little by little, it'll gently take your hand and say, see that? See that? And on the inside, oh, and you say, well, how do I meet my soul? How can I? And that is done when I lead people inward, what I'm telling them to do, what they must do, what they have to do, the key component to meeting one's soul self is through meditation. Now, I started on this path when I took this 21-day challenge with Oprah and excuse me, Deepak. They had this 21-day meditation challenge. Well, I took that. And after that, I continued meditating. But it was after that that I moved in. When I continued, I didn't just start off meditating. One has to be taught how to, one has to be guided into, into their selves. They don't know themselves like that. They think they do, but they don't. What they know is egoic, but you will be gently led inward and you'll be guided. You have to be. So I recommend everybody when you're ready, and those who are awakening and those who are newly awakened, you gotta go inside. Your soul self is waiting to lead, guide, and direct you. What you're gonna find in there is love and guidance and warmth and protection and understanding. And now connected, you will find that alignment that was missing, those questions that you always had. There they go. Now they're being answered. Now you see. And it'll take time, but meditation has to take place. And if you're not good at it, start with a guided meditation. My book, Traveling Home Together, it has a list of awakening resources. We need resources as we begin. Those newly awakened or those who are awakening, you need resources. And a lot of times you just, you get these little clips on Instagram and Facebook. You're starting to be led to these little things, and they're talking real fast, and they're saying stuff and it's resonating with you, but you got to kind of take it slow. You got to chew on this. This is a huge meal. It's very meaty, and it has to be digested with, proper guidance as you are awakening, man. This shift in consciousness is no joke, right? So um there are awakening resources there. So my suggestion would be definitely start with meditation. Um, and everything else will fall in line. I promise you that. Everything else will fall in line. I have this the last page of uh Traveling Home Together. If I could, do we have time? I got this small little paragraph. It's the last paragraph of the book. We got time for me to read that?
Sure, sure. Please, please.
Okay. So it says so many people all over the planet are waking up. Yet I don't see many people of color in this community of thought. And when I say people of color, just my people, African Americans, Black people, they are still very much, grounded in the external God that looks, that sits high and looks low, and so when I say that, I just don't see a lot of us, in that community of thought. Most are struggling economically, and I get it. How could you even put your mind to this when you're struggling to survive, right? Um, so they're struggling financially, going to church every Sunday, pleading, begging, crying out to, raising holy hands, tithing, and listening to someone preach about an external God that will do everything for them someday. This external God will bless you if you bow down, worship, praise, and tithe. God is not human and does not require pleasing. praising or worshiping as humans like. God is omnipotent, omnipresent, eternal, and above human eccentricities. The best way to please, praise, and worship the God in you is to expand, experience, and create. Hu means God in Arabic. Thus, human actually means God man. We and our creator are one. There's only one consciousness, and we are all individual expressions of that divine consciousness. Therefore, dear one, live, move forward, and have your beingness intentionally and purposefully during your time here in Earth School. Find your bliss, have fun, feel good, and enjoy the ride. That's it.
That's really lovely, I have to say. Great. So, thank you, Queen, for sharing your incredible insights on the new earth. And listeners, I hope that you have found this conversation as enlightening as I did. And remember that living the new earth is about making conscious choices and embracing a new way of being. So stay curious, keep exploring, and take the first step towards inner peace and better health. So, thank you so much.